Hey everybody, this is Arturo, and I am here with our resident bruja Eva.
Hey everybody.
And this is episode 1.
We don't know of how many. We don't know how many. I'm just going to jump in. We don't know.
Of ESPOOKYS Talk. Now, this here is a podcast all about things ESPOOKYS. A little strange, a little different, a little something.
Little things that we've either heard or experienced ourselves or someone has told us.
There are a lot of folklore, a lot of legends, a lot of cultural stories that have been passed down generations for whatever reason, and we're going to go ahead and dive on in. The weird thing is I feel like I kind of started this because I've always felt something. Call it deja vu. Call it I'm asleep and something that I dreamt came true. I don't know what it is, but it's so sporadic and it's confusing, and it happens to me every once in a while, but I don't think I'm totally in tune, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand. I think we all are. And I want to jump in and say, for me, it's more of like a foresight or like an alert advice. They say that our brains do this and they speak to us in our dreams. Shamans have been doing it for years. I feel like I'm just a little more sensitive, but anybody has the don, right? The gift.
Oh, is that what it is? The don. Well, I know that you have mentioned things to me about stuff that you felt. I know that you've read some tarot cards and do things like that. How long has this been going on? How'd you get about? I'm so interested because things that happen to me confuse the heck out of me.
Right. So yeah, definitely have to do some self-investigation. Definitely do a lot of questioning. Although I have ADHD and it is a great part of life, really adds the spice. Meditation has really helped with everything, to be honest. I started with just regular cards, like playing cards. Mm-hmm. Like the ones that have like the coins and like the sticks and everything that you can get at like any Mexican store. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Okay, so I started with those and using those as tarot cards. And it's like storytelling. Like I would just know things.
Interesting.
And that's what my parents really found freaky.
Now you said this all started when you were super young, right?
Super young. So I was only 4 years old. And I remember going to sleep, having a great day, hanging out with my mom. The best life of a 4-year-old. And I woke up with this really profound dream. So in this dream, bear with me, it is religious. As a 4-year-old, I don't know why I was dreaming this, but this man comes to me, claims to be St. Peter, and tells me that he wants to retire. So when I go, I'm going to have the keys to heaven.
Get out.
And I was like,
get out.
I don't like to think I'm judgmental, but I mean, that sounds like that's the job, right? I'm going to be the hostess of heaven.
And you get to go in, and you get to go in.
So I woke up and told my mom this, and she's like, no, we don't talk about those things.
Interesting.
Super freaked out. Like my mom has this beautiful, like darker skin complexion. She was white as a ghost. Just unbelievable. Because I could describe her. I could describe what this man looked like. He looked pretty modern though. He had a pinstripe suit. And when he spoke to me, it was like very comforting. Like I knew him. Pinstripes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I wasn't wearing the old robe that they talk about. He modernized.
He didn't look like Socrates.
He did not.
All right. Interesting that you bring that up because like I say, there's a lot of things that go on that I'm just confused about, you know. But I always feel that there's some type of a spirituality, something that connects me with some things that are different, but I don't know what they are. You were telling me earlier a story that was more recent.
Oh, yes. So my brother works for CAL FIRE. He's a firefighter.
Very cool.
I think it's really awesome. He enjoys it. And I remember having a dream that he was working at a fire, right? Goes into a 2-story building and it starts to collapse. But he manages to like protect himself and shield himself. And, you know, hopefully he'll hear this and write it up in the comments what you're actually supposed to do. If you know this, CAL FIRE does not do like structural buildings like the one in my dream. They're out like in the mountains working on those kind of fires.
Right.
So in my dream, I go into the hospital to go see him. And I see that half of his face is burnt. And of course, I start cracking jokes because that's our relationship. Hey, Scarface, how you doing?
That's
You
dirty.
trying to be Phantom of the Opera? And of course, he's laughing, but in pain from making all the facial expressions.
That's dirty.
And so I ask him, which is a dumb question, but in my dream, me being myself, I say, how are you feeling? And he's like, you can see how I feel. And I was like, the right side or the left side? Then I wake up, of course, as an older sister. I'm freaked out. I call my brother, and he's like, here we go. You with your stories, your fortunes, your being able to see the future, right? And kind of teasing me. Of course, he's my brother. He can get away with that. So then he's at a fire, and he tells me that, and I'm just like even more panicked. But he explained to me that everything is safe. And then later that day, he texts me and he's like, I just dodged a tree.
Jeez.
And it's because I had advised him to guard his face.
To cover your face, bro.
Like, that was the dream.
That's the money
Guard
maker.
your face.
You got to cover that up.
And so he has this nice little scar now on his arm.
Oh, so he's not Scarface, he's Scar Arm?
His scar arm.
Oh, nice. I like it. You know, that I could relate a little bit because things like that happen to me on a much smaller scale at things. And that's what this is all about, because as we dive into a lot of things of the unknown, whether they're folklore, whether they're legends, and whether they are like actual people who have some experiences, that's kind of what this is going to be all about.
Yeah, it's all spooky talk.
ESPOOKYs.
It's
Totally
spooky talk.
ESPOOKYs.
That's all that we're here for.
And as promised, everyone, today we're going to talk about a little something that really freaked me out as a kid. Like, it really, really freaked me out as a kid. And it is the legend that originated in Mexico of La Llorona.
Oh, here we go.
I'm telling you.
The weeping woman.
The weeping woman.
La Llorona.
For those of you who don't know, now you're about to know. So
sit down, buckle in.
extinguish all of your smoldering expectations, because here it comes.
Start saging the house.
When I was a young child, we all used to kind of hang out at the Tia and Tio's house, you know what I'm saying? And I was small, and a lot of them spoke a lot of Spanish, and I didn't quite understand. I am Mexican, but I am Mexican-American, and although Spanish was my first language, I probably lost it when I was, 3 or so. And we were there, and everybody's running around, and then my tia comes out, and my tia, little weathered looking, you know what I'm saying, right? And she sits us down, she's like, yo, I gotta tell you guys a little story. Late at night, when you're out, there's a potential of you guys getting taken. And we're like, taken? What do you mean taken? So there's a woman who back in the day, she had a couple of children, and her man stepped out on her and was running around, and it really kind of angered her. And when he came around, he would only speak to the kids and not her, and she got jealous. And what she did was she dragged her kids down to the river and threw them in, drowning her children. Freaking out, right? So like, oh, okay, so there's a crazy lady on the loose.
Yeah.
She drowned her children. So now she passes, and she goes up to the gates of heaven. And at the gates, it's so funny that you're going to be this new guardian of the gate, because she goes up to the gates of heaven, and she's denied entry. You are responsible for the lost souls of your children.
Yeah.
So she was condemned to purgatory, and she's on earth now, and she wanders around and she cries tears of blood, and you can hear her weeping. And as she gets closer, you can hear, "Ay, mis hijos." Like, what is going on, right? And she takes she takes children. She takes children to try to satisfy whoever is guarding this gate, to let her into the gates of heaven with the souls of whomever. She's supposed to be looking for her children. She cries tears of blood. Anyways, we tell this story. We're all freaking out. Ah! We're running now. We're crazy.
Right.
It's just nuts because they freaked us out. I think I was like 6. Outside, no lies, guys. No lies. There are drops of blood. Little drops of blood on the cement here in Mountain View. Little drops of blood. And I was hiding in the kitchen. I remember this, hiding in the kitchen, and they had one of those little weird kitchens where the table's up against the window, and I was eating a little piece of pan dulce, and I looked outside, and it was kind of gloomy, not really stormy, but kind of gloomy, you know, and I could see someone standing in the yard. No way. Next thing you know, you hear all the dogs barking in the neighborhood, things like that. Just freaked me out. And that's my story of La Llorona, because I lived it. The terror that I felt was just nuts. Nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if that was something that they did to torture us. I don't know. George Lopez says that, you know, all these little white guys, sorry, white guys. All these little white guys, you know, that they have all these fairy tales and stuff at bedtime. We have things like La Llorona, the Cucuy, you know, things like that, just freaking us out.
Right.
I don't know why that's such a cultural thing, but I know that you know the origin of that story.
So, yes. So, we're talking about Xochimilco, which is where all the canals and rivers are. And very, very similar. The woman really loved this man. This man was everything to her. And then he was being unfaithful. And so it was like out of revenge. It was spiteful. It was, you know, she wanted the attention. And he was like, nah, I'll see my kids. That's about it. You know, she was willing to forgive him. Just still wanted him there with her. And she, like, chose to take, to extremes. And so I just, it's hard for me as a woman to be like, how could you do that? That's so sad. So yes, you go around all of Earth, you know, weeping for your children of, oh, mis hijos. But at the end of the day, like, hijos. What were you thinking? And also, why don't we just send her downstairs?
You know, thank you. There you go. Just take the elevator to the basement, right? Like,
don't give her the opportunity to go around taking 3 other souls.
Oh my goodness.
And also 3 kids. Like, girl, you didn't get, like, your man wasn't into you the first 2.
You know, it's so strange. It's strange that these are the kind of stories that we grew up with. You know, I could think of so many other things and things that we'll get on later on, but like, I have a tia who has like the same type of thing that you had, only on a super freaky level.
Oh wow.
To the point where she will have like conversations and stuff with ghosts that come visit her, whether it's in her dream, whether it's, I see him standing at the edge of the bed, and actually the information given to her turns out to be something valuable, something that actually takes place.
Oh wow.
Quick example.
That's an amazing don.
That's an amazing gift, but she claims it scares the hell out of her every time it occurs, you know. But so I was told this one time in Mexico that my mother was sharing a bed with her sister, this particular tia, and she said that like she knew that she was sleeping, but my mom, when she woke up, my tia was awake and was speaking to someone at the edge of the bed and having a full-blown conversation about whatever.
But awake.
Yeah. And my mom asks, and I was there once when they asked my tia, do you remember this? She goes, oh yeah, you know, I remember. And she was wide awake, and the person, spirit, ghost, whatever, was at the edge of the bed, and they were having a conversation. And it's something that's incredible to me, because I don't have that kind of vision, and people that do just amaze me.
That is amazing. And there are women like that, and men as well, like that can actually see, you know, the veil. They can see beyond the veil, this limbo area.
Is that what you kids call it nowadays? Beyond the veil?
Beyond the veil.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
I'm going to jot that down. For all of you guys who are actually listening, I'm going to take some notes, because I'm not lying to you that things oddly happen to me and it freaks me out. And I want to know what's going on, because I think that there's something out there. And as much as the people want to tell me maybe, maybe not, as much as people want to say, well, you know, if you're religious, you don't believe in those kind of things, whatever they think, I feel I'm wise enough to know I don't know.
Yeah.
That's it. Plain and simple.
Like, I don't know.
Then explain it to me. You know what I mean? Like, if it's so definitive in their thoughts and views, then explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
I think it all comes down to intention. You know, if you put out the energy that you want something, and science will back that up. Whatever energy is infinite. So I feel that if you put your heart out there and you start investigating things, like, you will find your truth. But it's really hard, because it might not be factual or evidential. It's more of like an experience, a feeling.
You know, the wife and I went to go see Teresa Caputo. And
how did that go?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We were in the first row, and she kept eyeballing me.
Oh, of course.
She kept eyeballing me. I'm being like, for real.
Yeah, because she could sense your energy.
She sensed something. And, you know, I don't know what that was, but she never came and spoke to us directly. And obviously there was people around us, and she kept eyeballing me. And she kept saying things like, you know, I understand that there are spirits and people here that want me to get a message across to their loved ones, but there are some spirits or whatever here that I feel are it's more urgent.
Oh, wow.
For whatever that reason is.
Okay.
There's a lady next to me, and she's saying things to me or to her like, you know, I sense that, you know, you had a loss, blah, 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 and that it was a small child. And she's like, yeah. And they're like, you know, he's here. He's here, and he's okay. You know, you have to know that. And he wants to say that he's like really likes that you carry something of his with you, and that it's going to be with you forever. And she goes, it's like something that you put on your body, whatever. And this lady was wearing a full-on hoodie, and pulled up her hoodie, and on the top of her arm had a footprint tattooed of the baby. Like, how do you know that? How does that happen? Could it be a plant? Of course it could. Could it be something? Of course it could. But it just seems so organic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you get these weird senses, and to see people go through the whole gamut of emotions and everything that you go like, I don't know if you could fake that, you know? I mean, and if you can, kudos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was just weird. I felt it. I felt something.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like a sixth sense. Like, we all have it. It's just, what level do you want to experience it in?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I hear things, right? And then I'm like, oh man, am I predisposed to some type of mental illness or something? And that's where mine, you know, logically, that's what I've been told. Like, that's what it is. But then I think back to all the dreams, to all this evidence. And I mean, I've even physically experienced things that to this day, I cannot believe myself. Like if I can't believe it, how am I supposed to convince someone, you know? And I had to give up on that. I'm not here to convince others. I'm here to, you know, someone hits me up and someone wants a card reading. Usually it's like one of my many family members that I'm super close with, and is like, hey, let's talk. It's healing.
Give us an example of something that's just so out there that you yourself is like, I'm not here to convince people because this is just too much.
Okay, at this point, our listeners need to go get some cafecito or a little tea, because they either need to wake up or they need to like simmer down to hear this. Okay, so I was a college student back in the day. We're talking, I was like 19 years old.
Where at?
I was in Los Baños, California.
What are they?
Where that's where my parents live. They reside. I just learned a new word. I want to use it. Reside. Who knew you would be listening to vocabulary on this podcast? Okay. Again, ADHD, bear with me. We're going to go all over the place, but it all connect in a big old circle. That's part of the fun of this podcast.
Okay.
So I'm driving home, and I just felt this sense of that was my last day. Like I was just going to go.
What?
Yeah. Like I knew I was going to die.
See, okay.
Like straight up. And I'd said goodbye to my friend, and my friend got so mad at me that I kept saying it. I was like, these are going to be your last words to me?
Hold on. Was your friend like in the car? Did you call them? What?
I was at her house studying.
And you just, hey, I just came to say deuces. See you on the other side.
It just sprung to me. Like it was just this intense feeling of peace. Wow. I can't ever I guess it's like the feeling right before you go to sleep. That intense feeling of peace and calmness, and all your worries melt away. Just like that. And I knew I was going to go.
Interesting.
I just knew it. So I started driving home, and I'm driving extra cautiously now because I'm like, well, if I'm in control of this, at least I don't want it to be gruesome, right? So I'm driving, get to a stop sign. It's about like 2 blocks from where I live. And all of a sudden, I look at my hands, and it's like not even late at night. It's like 8:30. And I'm like, oh man. And I felt this sense of like disassociation. So it's like you're...
With your hands?
Yeah. Like I could no longer see my hands and I get like a flashback. Okay. And in this flashback, I'm seeing a car racing down the street and hitting my vehicle.
Oh my God.
And I see that my seatbelt was faulty and I go through the windshield. And now I've also experienced like astral projection. So I'm thinking like, did I just astral project while driving? And I'm in this vision, I'm floating upwards and away. And I just see like the gruesome scene and I'm laughing. Because I'm like, well, at least I didn't feel it.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
At least I get to guard the gates of heaven.
I didn't even think of that. I was just looking at the scene and being like, well, at least I didn't feel it. Like I was just
oh my goodness,
relieved. And then I kid you not, I blink, like what felt like a blink, and I'm still at the stop sign. And I'm shaking at this point. So I remembered that there's this small little alleyway that's kind of creepy to be taking this late at night because things have been stolen and things like that. But I'm like, nah, I need to pull over because at this point I'm having like a panic attack. So I pull over just to relax, just a minute to myself. And I kid you not, to all our listeners, I looked back because I'm driving my dad's pickup, okay, it's 2-seater. I look back, blue car, driving on the wrong side of the lane at like 100 miles an hour. No, for reals. So then I drive home, get to my parents. My mom puts her hands on my shoulder and is like, what's wrong with you? You're so pale. Like, please sit down. And I can't even talk to her. I'm just confused because now that feeling of knowing that I was going to go is gone. And it's like, wow, the sky is the limit now. Like, what do I do now?
That's crazy.
So it wasn't about like till 2 hours later that I finally got to talk to my mom about it after some chamomile tea to calm my nerves.
A little something at least.
And I told them, I sat both my parents down and I talked to them and they were like, no, you must just be overwhelmed from all your studies. Like you have been working really hard. And to this day, I can't explain it, but it was the craziest thing.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
You know?
Yeah, like I'm super, of course, love the outcome. Glad it didn't happen, but it was crazy that I knew it was coming, that I foresee it, foresaw it.
It's crazy because I think we've all had kind of those weird experiences. I was going to De Anza and I was going to go, you just make that turn onto De Anza from the De Anza parking lot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a light. And I'm sitting there and my radio blinked out. Like it just blinked out. Like, yo, my car's running. The radio's not working. Something's up. The light turns green. My radio blinks out. I look down for a couple seconds to mess with the radio. The radio comes back on. I look up and a car had to be 4 to 6 seconds after the light had already turned. Just racing by. Like, who blinked out the radio?
Right.
It's just crazy.
That's crazy.
I got one for you.
Oh.
And this is... I'm talking right now to my sister. Yo, I know you know this is true. Here it is. In Lodi, when I lived in Lodi, I used to play late night basketball. So late night basketball starts at 11 o'clock. So it's 2, 3 in the morning, whatever it was. Driving home. And I get into a car accident. So the rear tire on my little Subaru blew. I rolled 2 times and I'm in a drainage ditch. And I'm sitting there and I'm bloodied and I pull myself out of the windshield that's no longer there. And I reached up to the drainage ditch. My arm pops back into its socket. I pull myself out onto the road and I'm in the middle of nowhere because we live way out in the country. So there I'm there. I'm standing in the middle of nowhere, pitch black, no street lights. I'm just like, oh, but this is not good. And all of a sudden you see it, those 2 little white lights driving towards you, right?
Right.
So someone's coming up. Now, everyone who knows me knows I have a nickname, and my nickname's Tootie, right?
Right.
So, dude drives up in a black blazer that I've never seen before, blonde-haired guy. Oh my gosh, Tootie, I can't believe it. Are you okay? And I'm like, and I'm going into shock. I'm like, I don't know, I'm all right. And he goes, "Oh, I know where you live, dude. I'll take you home." So I never said a word to this guy. I swear it. I never said where I lived, what my name was. He knew who I was. He drove me directly to my home, which is in the middle of the country, literally 12 miles outside of town, drives me straight to my door, down my long driveway, up to my house. I get out of the car. I walk in there, and my mom and my sister are sitting at the table. They're waiting for me, right?
Right.
And I must have been just bloodied, because now they're screaming, "Oh, my," and they're wiping blood off my face, just freaking out. And I don't know really kind of what happened after that, but my sister has told me that she opened the door to see who brought me home and just saw the taillights. The Blazer left. Now, is that an angel? Is that someone? How does that happen? I've never seen this guy before. I've never seen him after. I've asked all my friends. No one knows any blonde 6-foot dude with a black blazer who knows me well enough to know exactly where I live.
Yeah.
That's just the nuttiest stuff. That's the stuff that makes me feel like there's a connection somewhere out there.
Yeah. He also sounds very attractive.
Well, he wasn't over 6 foot. He was about 6 foot. So that might be a little short for you.
The deal breaker.
And I know, because I know you.
Because
I know you. I would try to call him up for you if I could.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Weird stuff always happened out in the country.
That's crazy, though.
Weird stuff always happened in the country.
I got a little scared. That's why I had to make a joke.
Oh, well. I once had a girlfriend who, her and I were at my house. My parents were there. We're sitting in the front room. We're watching movies until like 2 o'clock in the morning. She's going to go home. She lives in Tracy.
Oh, wow.
We go outside. We're talking at the car. And all of a sudden, we both hear, "Arturo." So her and I, exactly at the same time, look to the house. Nobody there. And at that very moment, every dog within earshot starts barking. Like, oh, no. No. So she freaks out. I freak out. She jumps in the car. She takes off. I'm like, oh, my God, I still have to lock the gate. So I run to the gate. I run to the house. Mom's in bed. Dad's in bed. Dogs are barking. Things are going crazy. That's all the kind of stuff that's absolutely bonkers. Things like that happen is just so bizarre and strange, and there's no explanation for it. And I think that's the weird part. Like, it wouldn't be as scary if you could figure out, well, this is the logical happenings. And it's not. Just crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the me. Those are the type of things that has happened to me that I feel are a little different and out there.
Yeah. So this is what our podcast is going to have. This is the Spookies Talk here.
Yeah, we are Spookies talking as we speak. As we Spooky. Spookies. But what's going to happen is, guys, we're going to wrap this up. We're rolling on the 30-minute mark. But this was just kind of an interesting dive into Eva and I about who we are and what we believe and how we're going to go about it. But I do think that in our next couple of episodes, we're going to dive in deep to a lot of different like folklore and legends. And I have quite a few personal experience people who have already come forward and said that they were interested in telling me their story so that I could share it with you guys. But I'm also kind of interested in things like Bigfoot and UFOs. Believe it or not, it's just who I am. You could tell by what I save on the old DVR.
It's a spooky talk. Like, it's a spooky talk. And of course, I want your input. I want to know what everybody wants us to talk about. Please leave comments, like and subscribe to Facebook, Instagram, and let us know your thoughts. I even have, believe it or not, a Spookies Talk email. So if you guys, if all else fails and you're super old school and I don't do any Facebook, but darn it, I know you got an email. You can email us at ESPOOKYSTalk. That's ESPOOKYSTALK @gmail.com. And leave us the comments, tell us your story, and maybe we'll share your spooky times on a Spooky Talk. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I think they should. I agree. So get her done. Thank you guys for listening. And for me and Eva, make sure that you check under your beds tonight. And lock your closets and mirrors. There you go. With that, goodbye, everyone. It's a Spooky Times.